Hello guys and welcome back to Superhero Maniac, your one-stop destination for superhero updates from all over the world. So the second episode of the She-Hulk series just got released and it was so much better than the first one in terms of build-up and pace, and we actually got a lot to talk about from this episode. So with a spoiler warning, I'm gonna be breaking down this episode for you guys, explaining all the hidden details and Easter eggs that you might have missed. So without any further ado, let's dive into it. So the episode kicks off with multiple news channels covering the latest and breaking news about the first appearance of She-Hulk in the public eyes, and one of these channels is the KPVK15, and we've seen this news channel before in the MCU when they reported about Ant-Man turning into Giant Man in Captain America Civil War. This whole presentation of the news is done in an animated sketch of the code, and that's exactly how we see the post-credits of this episode as well. The fight between Titania and She-Hulk in the court is quoted by Titania's lawyer as the result of an extreme case of low blood sugar, which is completely understandable, right? In the next shot, we see an eyewitness who actually called Jennifer Chick Hulk, but the reporter misheard it as She-Hulk, which becomes the new public name of Jennifer Walters. Cut to the next shot at the legal bar and grill where Jennifer is complaining about the name she's got from public, which is a nice throwback to the first episode where Bruce told her that you don't get to choose your superhero name. The public does that for you, and that's exactly what happened here. In the next shot, we see Jennifer turning into She-Hulk because everyone at the bar encouraged her to do so in a demanding way, and she starts drinking and complaining that she didn't pay for law school to become a vigilante, which is only for billionaires and narcissists and adult orphans, which is a clear nod to Tony Stark, aka Iron Man. In the next shot, as per her boss's request, she turns back into her human form and the alcohol starts to kick in her system right away, cause the gamma radiations in her Hulk self allows her to metabolize alcohol, as we learned from Bruce in the first episode. Her boss fires her from the DA's office for her mistrial potential, just like it happens in the comics, and her boss in the comics looks exactly similar to his live-action counterpart, which is pretty neat. Next, we see Jen struggling to get a new job. She gets a voice message from her cousin Bruce and rejection upon rejection cause everyone thinks she's a liability. One impressive detail during this scene is the transition of the offices she's applying to for a new job, which gets from fancy to crappy, showing how desperate she is for a new job, and she doesn't care at this point if she gets a job at a crappy place. Now cut to the shots of her laptop screen and we can see some big Easter eggs here. First, we can see Iron Man 3 sneakers, which are based on Jordan's and Nike Air Force One. The next up is potentially a reference to Wolverine, as we've got a hint from Miss Marvel series that mutants are coming into the MCU. The headline reads, "Man fights with metal claws in bar brawls," which means Logan will be making his entrance in the MCU very soon. The next line says, "Why there is a giant statue of a man sticking out of the ocean," which could be a reference to the ending of the Eternals. You can see a QR code on the screen which can literally be scanned and will give you a free She-Hulk comic, which is nice. Now if you look at the tabs at the top, one of them says "Find Ant-Man," which tells us how Scott Lang is becoming a bit of a celebrity. There's also a Norse mythology tab along with Avengers 2. On Jen's lock screen, we can see her wallpaper, which is of course Captain America's ass, cause it's officially a meme in the MCU now. Next up, Jen visits her parents for a family dinner, which gets really awkward as everyone starts asking stupid questions. Like her uncle asking whether Hawkeye picks up his arrows from the ground after shooting them, which is actually a pretty reasonable question if you ask me. Her dad seems like a genuine carer and gives her some fatherly advice. Next up, Jen is hired by Hollywood to work for the GLKH as the new face of the Superhero Law Division, which is the position she gets in the comics too. We can see Jen is wearing a baggy suit for work, as she learned from the first episode after ripping her favorite dress while turning into She-Hulk. Hollywood tells her to turn into She-Hulk while at work, and as Jen turns into her Hulk form, everyone is amazed, and the lady at the counter pulls her phone out to take her picture. There's a bit of humor in the next scenes where she's breaking the fourth wall once again. Jen gets a fancy office and her best friend Nikki as her paralegal, and we're also introduced to Pug, who is one of Jen's love interests in the comics. Now Jen is hired by GLKH to take the case of Emil Blonsky, aka the Abomination. The way Emil talks to Jen in the prison scene is clearly indicating that they want to clear Abomination's name from the criminal list so that he can be recruited in the Thunderbolts. He says that he wanted to be a superhero like Captain America, and who's like Captain America in the MCU? John Walker, who is also a potential Thunderbolts team member. Emil also hints out that there might be 8 members in the Thunderbolts, as he says he just wanna move on with his life and live in peace on a property bought for him by his 7 cellmates. Now these 7 cellmates could potentially be his 7 Thunderbolts team members. Jen is kinda moved by Emil's words and consults with her cousin Bruce whether she should take the case or not. While on phone call with Bruce, we get to see a shot of Smart Hulk in the Sakarian spaceship as the call is disconnected cause he just left the galaxy. This gives us hints about the future of the Hulk in the MCU, which we will cover in our next video, so stay tuned for that and hit the notification bell icon to not miss it. Anyways, in the next shot, Jen takes the case and informs Holloway, who is delighted by this. But there's a speed bump for Jen as she turns on the news where there's a leaked footage of Abomination breaking out of prison and fighting in some underground fight club, which is gonna make this case a hell for Jen. And we might see Wong appearing in the next episode to explain how all of this is going through, just like we saw in the teasers. In the end credit scene, we can see Jen helping out her family with some chores and some heavy lifting work, which is also a reference from the comics. So this was your breakdown for the episode 2 of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, pointing out all the hidden details and Easter eggs. If you got something that we missed, do comment about it and you'll get a shout out in our next video. Hulk smash that like button and subscribe for more such superhero content. Till then, signing off.